It was a 3-day, 2-night solo trip I took in the middle of July this year. There's our camping spot on the Gunnison just below the forks. Nice place underneath that great big tree. Here's a few more clips of the fishing. It wasn't great. Water's still running high both in the Black Canyon Fork and in the main stem, which is caused by still the flows coming out of the North Fork and Anthracite Creek. So I did catch some fish. Most of these they were all browns except for the one oddity that will show up at the end. Did some deep nymphing, tried it along the banks. The dry fly stuff wasn't good at all. It was just one of those days. The Black Canyon Fork is plenty clear. The main stem is a little off color right now, which is fine. I caught fish on nymphs, stonefly nymphs, little bead heads. Did a little bit of streamer fishing on the way back to the car the last moments we were there, and ended up hooking a very, very strange fish. I've never seen one like this before. It'll show up a little clearer when I yank him out of the water. I don't know what it is. It might be one of those pike minnows that are kind of rare in the area. I know they have them in the Colorado River, but I wasn't sure what the heck this thing was. It had a good sized mouth, so it definitely wasn't a sucker. But that's the way it looks. So that afternoon made the kind of long, boring drive to Del Norte and South Fork, and ended up on the South Fork of the Rio Grande River, which you'll see in a minute over to the left. It's in good shape. It's not running too high, which is great. Unfortunately, it is also very heavily populated by people. So I drove up a little feeder stream called Park Creek, which gets some good reviews for fishing. It's a very difficult, tough little thing. The pools are tight. You get little places to dap a fly in, and that's about it. But interestingly, there were fish there, and they were all brown trout. I hooked basically a fish in every one of these little holes where I could drop a fly in somehow. And the browns were decent size. They were all around about 12 inches or so. So it was kind of a fun stop, but it didn't last long. It gets too steep as you get up higher, and the pools get smaller and smaller. So, but it was a nice diversion. Down to the South Fork again, and drove upstream for a while until I could find a stretch that looked a little bit uncrowded, which this one did. Actually, a nice little piece of wading water, not too deep, not too shallow. Decent hatches going on. Started picking up a few fish right away. This one's a brown. There were pretty much browns and maybe a rainbow or two in this batch of water. It wasn't overwhelming, but I did have a good time with it, and I'm glad I stopped there. Got up to the top, or 10 miles from the top of Wolf Creek Pass, and the river started climbing very, very rapidly. And I finally gave it up. It just, the pools became too small. I'd catch a few fish here and there, but that was about enough for this part of the trip. I'm sure somewhere in that 10-mile stretch between there and the top of the pass, there's going to be some flatter water, but I just didn't have the interest in going any further. So I gave it up after catching this one last fish down below. After that, I was done. I don't know the access points on the main Rio Grande at all. I did try the Collier State Wildlife Area. Just too darn tough to get down by the water this time of year. The vegetation is really, really high because of all the snow and rain we've had. So I walked up it a ways, tried to get down to it, had no success, and finally gave up and threw in the towel. And that was enough.